Tony being able to purge just about all the utility that the Rep Paladin's going to bring to the table. I feel like if... But at the same time, you know, I have no idea. The double Paladin mix-up just changes my predictions completely. I have no clue. I feel...
Are they for sure going to play double Paladin? They could play with a Pharaoh,
Wait,
right? They could
oh, are you in
up.
this? You're not in this game, are you?
Oh, whoops. You didn't invite me to the party.
My bad. That's actually my bad. I'll just solo cast this one round. Alright, so right away, Losa's going to jump onto Inviable, and the Shockwave goes out onto Eranei, the double Shockwave onto both the DPS coming out from Losa. That was a nice double Shockwave. Law putting that Hand of Sacrifice onto Eranei, trying to prevent any of that damage in the CC coming in. The double Hodge coming out onto Tony Jr. and a Supatease. Tony's going to use that Shaman Rage instantly, the double Fear onto Inviable and Law. On top of that, though, Eranei has his wings up, but I think this Ascendance in Shaman Rage is going to counter that offensive cooldown quite well. Those double wings are definitely intimidating. Though Tony Jr. dropping down to about 65% health here. Supatease, he has the Iron Bark onto Tony Jr. at this point. Even Law trying to get those denounces in, making Tony. Oh, Tony's trying to land that hex. He does land that full hex onto Law. Eranei can't sack him out of that. Eranei's pulling back, getting away from this warrior, trying to take as little damage as possible as his healer was in that CC. Looks like Law's taking a little bit of damage, but Tony Jr. he's pushing in to try to connect here. The double Shockwave, Reckless is coming out from Losa onto Law. Law is going to go ahead and use that wall right away. Execution Sentence goes out onto Law. He's going to be completely fine for now, but that is some decent trades for 0 offensive cooldowns. Tony Jr. now taking a little bit of damage. His Shaman Rage is up off a cooldown right now, so he's going to be completely fine, and both teams have stabilized for now. Law, now he's trying to get away. He's dipping rather low here. He's at 50% health here. The Heroic Leap comes out from Losa. Law is just constantly slowed. The Aura Mastery being forced to use it, but he gets shockwaved up on the Aura Mastery. This is not an efficient trade so far for this Holy Paladin. Supatease doing a great job keeping his team completely offensive, but he's put into that full Hodge. The double Hodge comes out once again. Tony Jr. instantly using that Shaman Rage on it, but Law, he's just getting chunked by Losa all game long. The barrage is coming out. Tony's just going to go ahead and line of sight. Law still at 39% health here. He has the Avenging Wrath up, though. He should be okay with this Avenging Wrath, but he actually gets kicked. He could be in some trouble here. He's at 40% health here. Eranei even trying to get those heals out onto Law to help him out, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Tony does get locked out on the Hex there. Not a big deal, but it's definitely important. The Execution Sentence and Aurora Sacrifice goes out into Law. He's going to be okay for now. The double Hodge again. Execution Sentence falling onto Tony Jr. The Fear on Inviable, and the double Shockwave on Eranei and Law. This is great peels coming out from this turbo, but I feel like Law... Let's see, what defensives does Law have left? He has 2 bops and a bubble. He should be completely fine. He's using that Holy Paladin sprint, getting away from this double melee. Eranei now taking a bit of the damage. Whenever this turbo's not on the Holy Paladin, they seem to be just turning around and hitting the Rep Paladin, constantly keeping that pressure up. Eranei trying to get offensive. He has that wings. Tony Jr. is going to get Iron Bark and use Shaman Rage. I think this might be more of a defensive wings than anything else, but that Supatease is taking quite a bit of damage at this point. There is the Bark Skin being used and the Shaman Rage, both rather short defensive cooldowns to rotate through. But look at the pressure on this double Paladin team. Law now at 40% health here. Eranei also dipping rather low. Whatever this turbo can hit, Supatease now caught into that full trap. Law seems to be the kill target once again. He's trying to juke these guys. It looks like he's going to be able to free cast for now. The barrage coming out from Inviable. He's trying to get offensive on the team, but it just seems like this turbo's always at full health. The double Hodge comes out once again. Tony Jr. not even Shaman Raging that. He actually has 17 seconds on Shaman Rage. He put into that stun, but he's not in any trouble at all. Supatease has 70% mana, Law at 60%. Mana's not going to be an issue for either teams just yet. Inviable's trying to get a pet as it's just got cleaved down and died. And so this team is just getting cleaned to death. Tony from the Bronx doing a great job just forcing this double Paladin on the back foot. Alright, Law now. He has the Avenging Wrath up, and he does have the wall to counteract this recklessness coming out from Losa. That's the save by the light procking. Now he's trying to juke these guys. The full trap goes out in the Supatease, and Law is forced to use his very first bubble. Tony Jr. still at full health as the double... Oh, that's the double stun. Once again, the Crow's coming out onto Tony Jr. He's just going to go ahead and press that Shaman Rage. Eranei put into that Fear, and Inviable and Eranei put into that double Shockwave. Law using his Execution Sentence, though, keeping his team super offensive. Shaman Rage is going to fall here relatively soon. It looks like they're going to start going on to Supatease, or at least Eranei is. I think I like this. I think Supatease might be the right kill target for the team, but they're going to have to set it up. But Law, it might already be too late. He already used his bubble, and I mean, his Avenging Wrath's on cooldown, but he still has his Trinket, Double Bop, and Aura Mastery, so he is rotating these defensive cooldowns quite efficiently so far. Eranei now taking the brunt end of the damage from this turbo, but it looks like they want to go Supatease now. So Inviable and Eranei just chasing Supatease around the corner, and whenever they can't hit him, they've been switching over to Tony Jr., which is a good move. The full clone goes out into Eranei at low health. That's definitely a solid play coming out from Supatease. Law now using his Avenging Wrath, trying to keep his team offensive, but Losa and Tony Jr. jumping right on top of Law one more time. The Shockwave onto the Aura Mastery comes out, and the Avenging Wrath wall are about to fade. Eranei now using his Avenging Wrath, trying to get offensive. The full trap lands on the Supatease. Tony Jr. Shaman raging instantly and using his, I believe that's an Ancestral Guidance to keep him alive and offensive. He's going to be completely fine. Even through these Ret Paladin wings, Tony Jr.'s at full health here at this point. Law is in so much trouble. He bops that bash, but it gets purged just about instantly. The execution sentence goes out. It's going to top him, but I mean, he's going to start running out of buttons here very, very shortly. The Shockwave on the Eranei and Law goes out once again. And, oh, actually, Law just got locked out there. He's hovering at 50% health here. Supa's in that stun, but he looks completely fine. This Turbo is just dominating this double Paladin team, it looks like. Law now saved by the light proccing once again. The DR Shockwave coming out. Oh, Law, he's just running out of defensive cooldowns as this Turbo Cleave just chase him down and put him in the dirt. Eranei being cleaved down. He's at 30% health here. Now he has to play defensive, and this Red Hunter team really cannot afford to play defensive. The Hand of Sacrifice goes out onto Eranei. Law sacrificing his own low health, but he's going to get cloned up at 28% health here. Eranei could be in trouble. He's going to just go ahead and use that bot, but it's going to get purged off. He gets cloned up low, and now Law is in trouble. Law's going to just go ahead and sprint away, but that heroic leap, charge in the middle of the map, and the bash, this could be it. Eranei's at 9% health here. The double Shockwave goes out. He's going to trinket that execution sentence himself. Law has his Avenging Wrath up. Can he get his team offensive? Super team's out in the middle of the map now at this point, but he has Barkskin and Iron Bark up. He gets full hodged into human form. He's not even going to have to, oh, he doesn't have a trinket up just yet. He's going to go in that bear form and be safe, as his team is just so far ahead. Law's Avenging Wrath is going to fade here in just a few more seconds. Law up next. He's not going to have a bubble, a trinket, Avenging Wrath, and his wall and his bop. That's it. But bop's not going to do much against an Enhancement Shaman that's just going to purge it off instantly. He's going to use that wall instantly. Saved by the Light's already proccing. He's going to bop that Shockwave. What a nice bop. And but he's line of sighting Tony. Tony can't get this bop off just yet. He's spamming that purge. Supatease now put into the hodge. They want to get offensive. This is wings coming out for Eranei. If they're going to do it, it's going to be right now. But that fear is going to peel that hunter and the hex onto Eranei. This Turbo doing a fantastic job peeling for Supatease, as that was this double Paladin team's chance to turn it around. Supatease, nature swiftnessing himself, keeping him offensive. Law now at 23% mana. He doesn't have a bubble or mastery bop trinket. He's out. He's tapped. This Turbo just needs to connect with him one more time. He's at 60% health here, but the double Shockwave, the Cyclone on the Eranei, this Turbo's not going to let up anytime soon or make any mistakes. The Freedom goes out on the Law. Hand of Sacrifice from Eranei just to reduce the damage, but these Hand of Sacrifice and Hand of Freedom spells aren't going to do much against an Enhancement Shaman that can just purge them right off. The Avenging Wrath being used on Law as well. So with the Roar of Sacrifice, Supatease trinketing instantly out of that hodge, I believe it is, displacing away, trying to, and also getting the Moonfire up onto Law. Or Mastery being used by Law at this point, but he has 5% mana. He's not going to be able to do this forever. Inviable now with the Bestial Wrath and the Barrage on the Supatease. He's going to answer that with the Iron Bark. Can Law stay alive long enough for them to get pressure? I think it's already too late. The double Shockwave on the Eranei. Law is put into the triple DR bash. He's at 8% health here, 6% health here, and the Execute's going to come out from Losa, and they're going to secure the first win of this best of 3 series. Rest in peace, Twitch chat. I don't know. They got to change something up. They definitely were on the back foot from start to finish. All right. Sorry about that, Ben.
No, it's okay. It just didn't seem like they could really get anything going. And eventually, once dampening's in, it's just they just fall further and further behind.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I like the Ret Paladin choice instead of the Feral against an Enhancement Shaman, personally. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I have no idea. But it's one of those things where you have to assume that these players have played both matchups and like are a little bit more comfortable with this, or maybe their Feral isn't here. I'm not sure. I'm not an expert on this matchup, but there's got to be a reason why they're choosing a Ret Pally.
Yeah, as we're talking about this, they actually went ahead and whispered me and let me know that they are swapping to the jungle.
Oh, okay. Like, yeah, didn't like that.
Yep, didn't like that very much. I'm gonna go ahead and swap over it. Yeah, I mean, you got bops for days, but when Tony Jr. is an efficient purger, not really gonna mean much.
That's all you do as an enhancement shaman.
What's
That's
that
such a big part of your rotation. It's how you be offensive.
I feel like purge is a big deal in WAD though right now. You know, I feel like WAD for whatever reason purge is more important than, I don't know, past expansions for some reason. I don't know. Ever since like the beta, I felt like purging off like hots and stuff were just so much more important than in MOP. But I don't know. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Oh, you know why? You know why I feel that way is because in beta, Resto Druids could like keep you up with just hots.
Yeah, you like need someone to be clean for them to die against the Druid.
Yeah. Resto Druids used to, with me and Toxic did a 2-button test is what we called it. We actually named our Druid 2-button, and he just used 2 buttons on his bar, and we like beat everyone.
Reduce Swiftmend.
Yeah. It was crazy.
You didn't have a cooldown on Swiftmend.
Yeah.
That was so funny.
All right, here. So up next we have Tony from the Bronx versus Rest in Peace Twitch chat. And they are going to swap it over to a jungle. I like that. Map. And I'm asking them what map they want next. And as soon as they make their decision, I'll let you know. And it looks like they already have. And the next map of this best of 3 series is going to be Ruins of Lordaeron, aka Ruins of Hunteron. And we're going to jump right into it, guys. See you guys in there. Alright everybody, welcome to Ruins of Lordaeron. Here it is. I'm just in a loading screen real quick, but here they are. We have Inviable Law and ilovemycatxo going up against Losa, Tony Jr., and Supatease. This is a smaller map. I feel like they don't want to hit Tony, they don't want to hit Losa, they want Supatease dead, man. That's my first assumption when the map choice of Ruins of Lordaeron. But what do you think?
Yeah, it's going to be hard for Supatease to get away. It's definitely an option. They might also swap to him, make him play ultra defensive, and swap to someone else. I think a big part of this matchup is going to be making sure that they can get Tony Jr. in Karasi if they are going to go on Supatease, because that Enhancement Shaman has so many off heals. If you just leave him free to do whatever he wants, and it'll be actually really hard for them to kill Supatease without that Karasi.
Yeah, that's something to note. Tony's super good at making sure Supatease is okay when he gets swapped to. He always has that healing available for him, but I don't know. I feel like this Feral team, definitely this Jungle Cleave, does have the ability to get that cross CC up, but can they line that up? And can they get through the shears and the groundings to be able to line that up? Tony Jr. jumping in right away. Looks like they're going to be going on to Inviable. That's the charge stun coming out. Inviable, it's going to be hard for him to kind of kite on this map, but Inviable does a good job kiting. The Hand of Sacrifice goes out onto ilovemycatxo. Law just making sure that none of those traps are going to be landed, but it actually, a Hand of Sacrifice goes out onto him as well. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the wrong team. Supatease now taking so much damage. Iron Bark and Barkskin coming out, and Nature Swiftness. This is a lot of buttons being used by Supatease, but it's a lot of offensive cooldowns coming out from this jungle.
Yeah, ilovemycatxo actually didn't use his incarnation there at all, so that was just Inviable's BM Crow's barrage, and because of that, Supatease could be in a lot of trouble. He's going to have to be very careful with this trinket, not be greedy. He has not a lot of healing output, and he could just die to sheer damage, so that's going to be very scary for him when ilovemycat decides to pop those offensive cooldowns, which is going to be soon. I mean, they're still just tunneling him down, waiting for their opportunity. As soon as bash comes up in around 7 seconds, probably going to put him in the full bash. There comes the Hodge. He immediately trinkets, and ilovemycatxo has still not used his incarnation. Now Supatease has no Barskin, no trinket, nothing. It's coming up very shortly, but this is a very scary time for him. He's making sure he's fully hotted, and he's just going to dip out of there as soon as possible. And really, Rip Twitch chat isn't doing too much to Tony from the Bronx besides trying to get down Supatease, but Law taking a lot of damage now. The Aura Master coming out. He should be able to top himself off with that. ilovemycat now popping the incarnation. Supatease in bear form with the Iron Bark as well as Barkskin. He's going to be fine. Also getting that safeguard from Losa there, so beautifully done by him. The amount of damage reduction he has is absurd right now, and even with ilovemycat's crazy cooldowns, he's not going to die.
Recklessness is just chunking Law. Saved by the Light being procced. This is the Bladestorm Wreck coming out, or the Spin, and Law's just going to press that bubble button as the Stormbolt. Oh, no, I'm sorry, not the Stormbolt, but Law. That's a good trade for Law. Avenging Wrath coming out as soon as he gets out of that bubble. The double Shockwave onto Law and Inviable at this point. But Supatease, he has 20 seconds and 16 seconds left on his 2 major defensive cooldowns. And ilovemycatxo, he doesn't have Incarn for another 2 minutes. So I feel like this turbo is completely okay for now. Law, it's going to be the same story as last time, it feels like. Law just taking so much damage from this turbo and eventually might fall behind. That's the wall, and Avenging Wrath falling for Law, the Holy Paladin. He's trying to get away from this warrior and get some casts off, but he's at 54% mana. Supatease is at 56% mana. So, I mean, mana's not going to really be an issue quite yet. Law now, he's at 30% healthier. This turbo never letting up, but now Inviable, he's trying to get offensive on the Supatease. This is a lot of damage coming out for him. That was the BM, and Supatease is going to go ahead and answer that with his Ironbark Barkskin once again.
Yeah, now he's into the bear form, and I mean, the only thing this Jungle Cleave is really accomplishing is going on a Supatease right now, and because of that, it's making it really easy for Supatease to just making sure he fully hots himself, keeps his Trents in line of sight, getting into bear form, and they don't really have much pressure because of that. Law now, Saved by the Light coming up onto him, trinkets that full Shockwave, trying to get out as many casts as he can. But he's still in a lot of trouble. Tony Jr. and Losa not being peeled very much right now. Tony Jr. finally caught into the full Hodge. They're cloning Supatease, so it looks like they are going to try to switch it over on a Tony Jr. Pardon me. The bash on the Supatease. Tony Jr. down to around 50%, but he still has that Sham wall available if he needs it. He might have to pop it though. Supatease now in that full trap. He has no trinket available, and he's still not using a Sham wall. Finally going to pop that a little bit late. Law has the wings out right now, making sure ilovemycat is topped off, but Tony Jr. still not out of the woods. Rallying Cry coming out from Losa. Supatease throwing out that Ironbark onto him, and he does get offensively cloned. He did have to trinket that so Supatease can get those hots up on him, but now they're in a position where Tony Jr. as well, Supatease has no trinket, but Law under a lot of pressure, having to use a bop, and he has no cooldowns left. He has no trinket, no bops, no bubble, no aura mastery available for himself, and he's also running on fumes at this point. Dampening is about to kick in around a minute.
Yeah, 8% mana. The double fear on both his DPS. Execution Sentence coming out, but he's at 5% mana at this point. Supatease might not have a trinket, but the timer is on Law. Law right now, he's in that Shockwave. ilovemycatxo caught in that Shockwave as well. He's trying to get those Cyclones out, but he gets locked on it. And I mean, this is Aura Mastery Wall, Aurora Sacrifice. That's a lot of defensive cooldowns, but is it going to be enough to keep up a Holy Paladin with no bubble or anything?
Supatease in a lot of trouble though. Bark's getting at 20% HP. The offensive cooldowns coming out from ilovemycat. He's able to get away and toss an Enhancement on himself, but he had to use pretty much everything there. He pops his Vigil, making his Hots extra powerful, but the Crow's coming out now, and he has no Barskin. He has to Ironbark this, or he's going to be in a lot of trouble. ilovemycat's cooldowns now fading, and Supatease in bear form. Law sitting down for a drink. This could be a key moment in the game where they pressure Supatease enough that Law actually got to sit down and get half his mana back, popping those wings to run in and catch up on healing. Supatease caught into the DR Hodge and still not out of the woods yet.
Yeah, ilovemycatxo. He's taking quite a bit of damage. Law got a lot of mana back, though. He's at 52% mana and back in it. This is Recklessness coming out from Losa, keeping Law relatively low. Execution Sentences forced out, and the wall. So he's trading quite a lot for this Recklessness, but he kind of needs to. The double Shockwave once again goes out onto Law and ilovemycatxo. Law dipping down to about 50% health here. Tony Jr., though, he's taking quite a bit of damage, but I mean, I feel like this jungle just can't get offensive. Law's in a lot of trouble. That's a triple fear coming out, and he's going to get into execute range, and Los is going to go ahead and secure the second win for Tony from the Bronx.
It's going to be a 2-0 victory for Tony on the Bronx. A lot did a great job there, sitting down, getting his mana. He needed that at that point in the game, but ultimately didn't matter. That was a well-played game, though.
GG's goes out from Tony from the Bronx, and rest in peace, Twitch chat.